I mean, I always say everyone is a great salesperson already. We just don't think of what we're doing as sales. And I always ask the question, have you ever been in a relationship with someone? Have you ever been in a committed relationship with someone where only they were only dating you, you only dating them, where you sold them? Because
Hmm.
out of everybody they could have chose to date, they chose to be with you and only you. That's a tall order, right?
That
And
is.
you somehow convinced them that that was the
Mhm.
best decision. So you were already, I believe that we sell in everything we do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Education Learning Center podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Rivers. I am thrilled and honored to have on our show today Angelisa Jones. Angelisa is founder of Golden Angel Management, a business development firm. How are you doing today, Angelisa?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm super excited and thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform. I'm just grateful to be here.
And I'm just thankful you came because I seen your profile and it was super. And I said, man, I have to get this young lady on my show. She's a budding entrepreneur. She's doing things within the community. I love the posts you put up. And I'm so happy that I can share your vision and what you do throughout the community up in the Chicago area with my audience today.
Of course. And I thank you. And I mean, I really need more people to be aware of what I do with the business development firm and the impact that we're making so they can duplicate it.
Oh, man. Well, let's get right into it. Tell us your journey to your current career path. So, what is your journey to becoming an entrepreneur?
So my journey looked like something that's very untraditional, right?
Okay.
So I actually started my career very early, working in the nonprofit space. So
Oh,
working in the nonprofit space, I really understood how we need to be working towards things that will outlive us and
mhm.
make an impact in our communities for something that's making an impact for other people. So right, like not just being so self-centered and thinking about what's in it for me, but also just what am I doing or what am I contributing to that is impacting my household and other households around me? So I volunteered for this nonprofit when I was just a freshman in high school. And I stayed with that same nonprofit until I was 22 years old, or 21 or 22, in my early 20s. And I realized that in that process, I gained so much knowledge, and my like mentors in that organization poured into me so much. And believe it or not, I'm, of course, in the south side of Chicago area, right? And the nonprofit I worked for was about earth conservation. So it was
uh-huh.
really, black kids learning about outside, right?
That's good. That's
So
good. I think
learning, right?
yes, that's
I
really
mean, it
needed.
was so important and so well needed. It was something that you just didn't see, a lot of back then,
Right.
right? Everyone was inside, playing their games, and I was telling everybody get outside and let's do archery, boat, and fishing. And I even was an archery and fishing instructor at one point. And I also learned the operation side of a business, though. So like how to hire, how to fire, how to ensure that you're sharing the mission and the vision of the company to get buy-in. But since it was a nonprofit, I understood that you don't necessarily sell a product, but because it's a nonprofit, but you have
Right.
to share the vision and the mission and get buy-in that way and get the person you're speaking to see the bigger picture of the impact that you're making and feel committed to doing the same thing and then donating their money. So I really saw the connection between sales and service. Like
Mhm.
whatever you're selling or offering should serve someone else and help them solve a problem. And that's actually my transition into entrepreneurship. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur at all. I always thought I'd be working for a company and retiring after 30 years. However, God had other plans. And so when I was 21, I transitioned into working into the financial services industry. So I worked at Allstate Insurance and I rose to the top of production at
Wow.
Allstate because I believe in having a service first and an education and consultant first mindset. So I always would educate, my clients about what life insurance is, how to properly plan for their financial future and things of that nature. So in that process, I was able to make it into the top 10% of production in the whole Midwest region at my agency. And I was so grateful for that opportunity because I was only 25 when that happened. So I was one of the youngest agents, really making impact, and like my clients loved me, but I really was just servicing based off the skills I learned, working in the nonprofit space. So I transitioned when I had my son Golden. I was told I couldn't have children. So my
Oh,
reproductive organs were damaged and I had my son Golden. And that was just a miracle, after
mhm.
believing I was never going to be able to be a mother. And I saw that I was stronger than I knew and smarter than I thought I was and could accomplish whatever I set my mind to. So I'm going to double down and work on business. But that was my plan before I realized I was having this baby. And then I had my son, and he was healthy, all 10 toes, all 10 fingers, and quite handsome, if I do say so myself. And I really, I was like, okay, I can help people with their business operations and making sure that they increase sales, because if you don't have sales, then you just have an expensive hobby. Because I was doing it all the while I was working. So I was working full time and working, building my business part time, but I wasn't necessarily treating it like a business. I was just helping people because I wanted to help them. Like I would see their operations and see some areas that they can grow in. And I was like, well, let me help you do this. Let me help you do that. And then someone offered to pay me to do it. And I was like, oh, of course. And then another person. And then I was like, people are getting paid thousands of dollars to do this work that I'm doing. I should start my own company. And when my son was born, I did. And that's how Golden Angel Management was born.
Wow, there's a lot of good nuggets there. I mean, really, and it mirrored my life in a sense that I also started a nonprofit before I became an entrepreneur, and that's why
Mm,
I'm laughing. And then I'm also in the financial services industry, and
mm,
so our careers are mirrored so much. I'm just laughing inside, and all the things you mentioned, it does transfer over. Those
mhm.
transfer skills is what I try to tell students or relate to people who want to change careers, that you can do that because you may look at it as a totally different job or a totally different way of doing things. And it's not. It's just the way of doing things differently for a different industry. But those skills
Absolutely.
you learn, as you said before, budget, inventory, being with people, service customers, it's there in every business. And I used
Yes.
to tell people the only difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is a nonprofit focuses on its mission, and a
Hmm.
for-profit focuses on profit or
Hmm.
increasing the shareholders' wealth. And so, but
Hmm.
both of them still have to make a profit. Have to make a profit, and to say to pay the bills and keep the organization going. And so
Yes.
for that, it seemed like to me that experience that you have for nonprofit really played an integral part in you becoming successful as an entrepreneur. Would you say that?
Absolutely. I actually use that as the basis of our operations at Golden Angel Management as a business development firm, helping other entrepreneurs with their sales and their systems and their structure in the business. I believe that you truly have to embody integrity and lead with service and focus on your mission. So if you have a business and you're selling a product or service
Mhm.
and you are not intentional about ensuring that your mission has specific goals and outcomes associated to how you help people with that mission and whatever product or service you offer, then your
Mhm.
business is not in alignment with integrity and we won't work together.
So you offer sales training also as part of your business?
Absolutely, yes. So, of course, like I said, I worked in financial services, and
Right.
so many people knew me as your favorite insurance agent because that was my brand at the time to increase my, my sales production in that industry.
Uh-huh.
And so they were like, "Oh, girl, I know you know how to sell." Like everybody said, teach me how to sell like you, teach me how to sell." And so I decided to offer sales coaching, and we do it in three different tiers, if you will. So
Okay.
first, our sales coaching for solopreneurs who really want to sharpen their ability to close more deals. So they're not necessarily a large firm, it's just them, but they do have to, of course, make sales in order to keep the
The
business
lights on.
going, right? And so that's the first tier. But then the second tier is for our business owners, right? And that's sales trainers for business on I'm sorry, sales training for business owners who don't have the time to train their sales team,
Right.
right? So you don't have to worry about that. Golden Angel Management will train your sales team and make sure your team has the skills to convert more prospects into paying clients. And then the
Right.
third tier is we do sales workshops. So, we may come out to your organization or your conference and you may want your team to walk away with some, real strategies and practical things they can implement to actually get results and not just motivation. And so we will offer a sales training or sales workshop there as well.
Wow, that is great that your company offers at least those three tiers of sales because it's not just one thing, it's another. And we always, and being in financial services myself, and I was not, ladies and gentlemen, I was not a top sales in the Midwest. I went in top sales in my office. I probably went in top sales, Angel, in my little group. So I can't say like Angel, like I was top sales here and there. And it's fantastic that she was because we use sales every day, although we don't know we do. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
I
I
mean, you have
always
to
say
sell even when
somebody
you
is
go
a
for a
great
job,
salesperson.
right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, even when you go for a job, you have to sell yourself. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, I always say everyone is a great salesperson already. We just don't think of what we're doing as sales. And I always ask the question, have you ever been in a relationship with someone? Have you ever been in a committed relationship with someone where only they were only dating you, you only dating them? Well, you sold them. Because
Mm-hmm.
out of everybody they could have chose to date, they chose to be with you and only you. That's a tall order, right?
That
And you
is.
somehow convinced them that that was the
Mhm.
best decision. So you were already, I believe that we sell in everything we do.
Yeah, and we really do. I mean, that is some of the things that I think that gets construed a lot when you say that
Mhm.
word salesman is like a hot button, or people just turn off against that. Not
Yeah.
realizing that in everything that we do in life, we sell, right? We
Yes.
sell ourselves, and many times, and we negotiate in sales when we go places, right? And so that's
Absolutely.
just a part of life. Would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I believe sales is in every area, right? It's in
Mhm.
everything we do. However, most of the time, people have a negative idea of what sales is based on some prior experiences or
Mhm.
what they have been told from other people.
Mhm.
And it's up to us
Mhm.
as business owners and entrepreneurs and salespeople to shift that narrative and show them what being a salesperson that focuses on service first looks like, and
Mhm.
also consultation. So I definitely couldn't agree more.
And sales also the thing I didn't realize when I wanted to go into marketing. Sales is also part of marketing. And today we try to sell ourselves, as you know, this quote unquote term brand. Do you own it
Yes.
your own brand?
Yes.
Tell us about, since you've been in the sales for a while, has marketing changed in the last 5, 10 years ago?
I feel marketing has definitely changed. And as a salesperson, I always say people try to put those together. And granted, yes, you can't have one without the other,
Mhm.
essentially. However, the biggest difference I will say between marketing and sales is someone knowing you and then someone know you but don't pay you for what your service or product is, right? So how it shifted as it relates to marketing being super shifting over the last 10 years. So 10 years ago, everything was just about exposure, right? You had to
Right.
just get in front of as many people as possible and then you would make sales. That actually was effective back then, right? But then 5 years ago, it was more about engagement, right? People just didn't want to, they didn't trust you enough to just give you money for whatever you're offering because they knew you were well known. Now you have to build more community. Now you have to create more authentic relationships, right? You have to build more trust and you have to build more rapport so you can convert someone from someone who just knows you to the paying you for a product or service. And then now sales is all about systems and strategy, really,
Mhm.
right? Because like with algorithms and like AI and changing the landscape with that space completely, and it's moving so fast, like even daily, entrepreneurs just can't like post and pray. That's not effective, right? You have to actually have intentional sales systems. You have to actually have measurable metrics to convert attention to people knowing you to actually revenue and people paying you for what you're offering. So the businesses that win are the ones who treat marketing more like an art and a science. And they are the ones who are at the top.
Man, you said the right thing there. I mean, a lot of times we get that mixed up there. And I think that a lot of times entrepreneurs, including myself, we get lazy at times because we wanted to
Oh,
do the old way, especially when you're at my age.
hmm.
And so you want to do it the old way and hope, the old sales way, like you said before. And me being a sales and representative, financial representative, that was the thing. The more exposure, you just like throwing paint, hope it hits the wall in a sense, right? And the
For
more you
sure.
throw out there, the more the chance are to get more back. And that's not the way it is these days. Now, what about associations? I mean, is that a way to get your exposure? I know you're a member of the Forbes BLK. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how being a part of associations can also increase your visibility?
I mean, of course. So when it comes to that, I always say there's 4 steps to the sales process, right? So you first have awareness. People got to be aware that you exist. whatever your product or service is, they have to know, oh, I can go to you for this thing. And then the second step is attraction. Now that I know that you exist, I have to be attracted to that thing, right? I have to come towards you and say, oh, okay, I want more. And then that goes to the third step, which is engagement, right? So now, oh, I want some more. Let me get more, whatever that looks like. Let me join your email list. Let me follow you on social media, whatever that engagement piece you have to build that trust and rapport, like we talked about earlier. And then the last step is conversion, right? Now that I know, I'm sorry, it's 5 steps. So now I converted. I paid you for a product or service. So now I've converted from being a lead or a prospect to actually a paying client. Now the
Okay.
last step is referrals, right?
Oh.
I have to make sure that I over deliver and blow your mind, wow you with my level of service and how I have impacted you with you being a customer with me, that you want your cousin, your parents, your best friend, everyone to come to me to deliver on the service or the product that I offer, right? So when you talk about those 5 steps, I keep saying 4. When you keep talking, it's because I just added the referrals piece,
The
right? So
referral piece
it's
is
a
very
it's a
important.
shift,
Yes.
right? So, and often it's one that business owners forget about, right? So we don't often think, man, I need to add referral to the list, just as important as getting them to be a paying client, because most of the time we get that money from our client and then we gone, right? Well, you, if you're intentional in knowing that the last step doesn't stop at the exchange of the money, it stops when you have over delivered and given excellent service to where they're referring, then you'll see your business increase a lot more, right? But going back to your question about visibility, your associations, of course, it tackles the first 3 steps already. People are where you exist, people are attracted to you, and then they're engaged with you because you all are in this association, right? So I would say being a part of that Forbes Black organization or association, I should say, it was powerful because it connected me to global networks, right? So oftentimes we can think too small, but with the Forbes, what the Forbes Black association did for me was it allowed me to see, man, I don't have to just work with entrepreneurs in America, right? I need to work with entrepreneurs outside of the country. I need to get a passport and use it, right? And
Yes.
it really helped me think larger in terms of my impact. So at Golden Angel Management, our whole purpose in existing is to help educate, empower, and inspire entrepreneurs for economic impact to lower the poverty rate. That's why we exist. Well, poverty doesn't just exist in America,
No.
right? So we have to be more intentional and remember, yes, visibility is super important, but don't miss your visibility to be intentionally connected to your collaboration and impact. And how are you measuring your impact and your outcomes as a business owner? And making sure that, you know, you're not just in it to make some money, but in it for a larger purpose that'll outlive you. That's just my belief.
No, I think that's a good belief there. And I think one of the important things you said was referrals. I think one of the most powerful marketing tools that is underutilized now that was more back in the day, 10 to 15 years ago, was word of mouth. And referrals is like word of mouth. And it's really more powerful because, and your chances of getting that client is because someone already used you. I mean, they already experienced your service or product, and so they're most likely to use it. We use word of mouth all the time, right? One of the biggest word of mouth we use is restaurants, right? You go get some food somewhere and you go to a food, let's say even a soul food restaurant, you know, oh man, you should go to this new restaurant here called John Soul Food. Oh my goodness, that's so good. So you tell somebody and then they tell somebody, and you gotta go John Soul Food. So now all these customers coming up because word of mouth is that powerful. So not only do you have the advertisement of John Soul Food, maybe in print, maybe on social media, maybe on TikTok and other social media platforms, but you also have it as word of mouth, which is just as strong sometimes because your chances of getting that client to go there first and then keep that client coming back is word of mouth, or as you said, referrals. And I think referrals are underutilized these days by smaller businesses that need to get as many clients as they can to maintain their status as far as income and revenue. Would you agree?
I definitely would agree. And the big box companies have already leveraged this at the highest level. And that's why we see so many content creators and influencers, as we call them, making large revenue returns because they're doing what? Referring a large group,
Yeah.
right? Their large following, right? And I mean, I'm so glad you said restaurants as an example because we see that with Keith Lee, right? A
Yes. Oh,
very
yes.
popular, man who pretty much just refers
Mhm.
business to restaurants. And I always say most of the time you can pretty much count on business owners forgetting to ask for referrals.
Mhm.
Most of the time we do over deliver, especially
Mhm.
small business owners. We over deliver most of the time, but
Yes.
the reason we don't get as many referrals is simply because we don't ask. We're
Mhm.
not direct about asking, right? And that is something we can change with a quick shift of just being more intentional about the steps of the process. And then, like you said, referrals and word of mouth have always had the highest conversion rate for success when it comes to converting a prospect to a paying client, because it's three things that you're going to need from your prospect, or that prospect is going to need from you, I should say, in order to convert from a prospect to a paying client. They have to feel like they know you, they have to feel like they can trust you, and they have to feel like they like you and who you
Mhm.
are, right?
Mhm.
So when they feel like they know you, they like you, and they can trust you, well, if the person that they're listening to is their cousin or someone that is very close to them, that conversion increases exponentially because it already bypasses all of those, right? They already know, they already know you, like, oh, you know my cousin. Okay. They already feel like they can trust you. My cousin trusts you. I know I can trust you. I
Right.
must like you because in this engagement, you've been, well spoken, you were expert in your space and things of that nature. The area that people slip in that space is like, have a smile, be engaging,
Uh-huh.
right? And that is what truly will separate you as you're building your business.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. I know we got some restaurant influencers. I know one that I have come to Carolina is called Chime Time, and another one I'm going to interview later on this month and next month named Corey. And
Mm-hmm.
social media is really a change as far as small business models. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I have a neighbor that he's now a YouTube influencer, I would say. And before he said, "I'm working this job," and then once I become a YouTube influencer to where I can make more money on my YouTube than I do my regular job, now
Mm-hmm.
I can stop that. And as you said, that's just another career. I know here at the Career Education Learning Center, we talk to, not interview people like yourself, entrepreneurs. We talk about careers, education, and financial literacy. We all
Mm-hmm.
go hand in hand. And that's
Absolutely.
another career that people have been making lots of money and a comfortable living doing that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
take that much overhead, that doesn't take much startup costs. And it's one that's apparently not as hard to do as you want to. Just love what you're doing and keep doing it till it comes to fruition. A lot of
Yes.
times we like to give up because we're not making as much as the big person, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Keith Lee, so I'm not influencing most people. But start off in your own area, right? Start off
Mm-hmm.
small and build up. And so you don't have to be as big as a big company or big as a major star, but just make enough space for yourself and comfortable yourself and just do what you can do, I mean, and if you're not satisfied, then get help from someone like Coach Angel here, or what she says, Millionaire Coach Angel, and then she can help you increase your sales and revenue even more. Would you
Mm-hmm.
agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like, see, when that's what separates the small business owners from the higher level business owners. And it goes back to discipline, focus, commitment, and consistency, things that money can't buy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yes, I just started this YouTube. I may not have as many followers as Keith Lee, but I'm still going to post consistently as if I have a million followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing that scared, doing it when you don't know the outcome, doing it when you only have two people viewing it, and still staying consistent, that takes focus, discipline, commitment, and consistency that unfortunately a lot of people who want to start businesses just don't have. And it comes with some grit and some mental toughness as well. But I always say I can want your business to grow more than you want your business to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a coach. I'm Phil Jackson, but you are Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan had to get on that court and make sure he hit those points and made sure that he did what he had to do. Phil
Mm-hmm.
Jackson had to just coach him and make sure he had the structure and the tools and the team around him to
Mm-hmm.
make him thrive, right? So it's so interesting that you say that because that is truly the differentiator a lot of times
Uh-huh.
between what will separate you from winning and losing in
Well, I tell you
business.
what, you look a whole lot better than Phil Jackson. Let me tell you that. And I'm not near as good as Michael Jordan, but I like to be there. I would like to be
I
close to Michael
appreciate
Jordan.
it.
But
Thank you.
you're exactly right on that. So do you work with beginners or companies that's in the middle, or do you work with all kinds of entrepreneurs, no matter what stage they are in?
So we work with all kinds of entrepreneurs. We have a platform for them where they are. If they
Okay.
want, if they're serious about being an entrepreneur, I always say, in order to work with us at Golden Angel Management, those are 4 requirements. You must be focused on growing one business. You must be committed to this process. You must be disciplined and do what you say you're going to do, even when the mood you said it in is left. And you must make your payments on time. If you do those 4 things, then we are set.
I love that. Make your payments on time. Oh my, you're right about that. Make those payments on time. Those bills, they keep coming. They don't go nowhere.
They do not. You know, I always say we had 2 things is always gonna happen. You always gonna have to pay taxes, and you always gonna have them bills coming every time.
Yeah.
That's just what it's gonna happen. This is what it's gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
even when
yeah,
you
we
die,
do
they
work.
still come.
Oh,
Just that somebody else responsible for them.
right, Lord.
What I
Well,
say,
see,
3 days in life, if you live, you live, you die, and you pay taxes regardless.
that's true. That is so true, and that's why I found very quickly that business owners are at different levels, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then usually with those different levels come different character traits. And that's why I had to double down and do my research on, well, what's going to be consistent across all, whether you are a freshly starting business owner with a great idea and you haven't even launched yet, to where you launched and you just made your first $10,000 in revenue, to where you made 6 or 7 figures in revenue. And even that 6 figure, 7 figure business owner, they have different problems, they have different mindsets, they have different priorities. So we have 3 tiers specifically. So we have the first tier, which is for our starting business owners. This is when you made less than $10,000 in revenue and
Mm-hmm.
you really want to take your business to the next level. And then we have our third tier, which is for our business owners who are making less than 6 figures. So you're not making 10,000, but you're probably at that 250,000 dollar mark, and you really want to make that 7 figures, but it just seems out of reach for you. And then you have the 7 figure business owner, or close to 7 figures. So you are, probably at like 800 in revenue, and you have a team, you built the team, but the team and you haven't really figured out where the kinks are in the operations, so where you can build this thing to make your 7 figures and make more economic impact. So I call myself Millionaire Coach Angel because I only want to work with business owners who desire to build a 7 figure business.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's just be honest. I mean, my goal is to lower the poverty rate
Mm-hmm.
through economic impact through entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a business and you're only making 6 figures, that will only cover your salary and maybe the salary of 1 or 2 others.
Mm-hmm.
We really want to make sure we're building opportunities for people to have employment, for economics to increase, and for us to have a positive impact for generational wealth. And that is the requirement is 7 figures. So that's why I call myself Millionaire Coach Angel, because I am a coach in business that build millionaire businesses.
Well, I tell you what, you have put on a clinic today, Millionaire Coach Angel. I've learned a lot. I'm sure my audience has learned a lot, and it's been great having you. Before we go, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs or beginning entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. I always say there are 5 things you must master if you really want to build a business at a high level. And it first starts with decision making.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be decisive, right? And I wouldn't say it starts with these, it's just the 5 because you need all 5. And I pray you agree with me. I'm gonna ask you when I'm done, right? So you have to be decisive. A lot of us have seen people, even we have been the people, right, that
Mm-hmm.
suffer from what I like to call analysis paralysis, where you're thinking about what you want to do. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to do that. You're talking about it, but you look up and you're at the next family reunion, like, hey, did you start that business? Did you get going with that thing? You're like, no, I'm still just getting the stuff together. I'm still planning it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not being decisive and committed to your vision and executing on it, right? So you must be decisive. And then the second thing is you must master self-awareness, right? The business will only grow at the level you grow as the owner and the founder, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be aware of you, what your strengths are, what areas of growth you still need, how you learn best, the environment that works best for
Mm-hmm.
you. You need to be self-aware. And then the third area you must master, especially as you're starting a business, is understanding other people. Because solopreneurship is great, but there are rarely any businesses that operate at high levels who are doing it all by themselves. That will generally lead to like burnout, overwhelm, frustration, and then the business doesn't grow anyway. So you must master understanding other people, because you need others to grow with you. You need a team.
Mm-hmm.
And in that team space, these are all just human beings still, right? They have different experiences, they have different beliefs, they have different personality traits. And it's still your job, though, to meet them where they are
Right.
and establish a mutually beneficial relationship so you all can grow your business and have your mission fulfilled for the vision of the company. And so the fourth area that you must master as a business owner is getting and keeping that competitive edge, because there are rarely any new ideas, right? It's so
Right.
many humans.
Right.
We rarely have new ideas. Someone has your idea, but they don't have your level of work ethic and execution. So also your strategy and your systems. So you must master getting and keeping a competitive edge for whatever you offer, to where
Mm-hmm.
you and your company is the go-to for whatever you're offering in
Mm-hmm.
the mind of your target client, and not your competitor. Is if
Right.
you don't, then you're just not going to last in business, right? If you're not
Correct.
intentional about that. And then the last thing I would say that you must master as a business owner is self accountability. Hold
Yeah.
yourself accountable. Remember, I
Yeah.
said that discipline, that consistency, that commitment, implementing the systems. When you learn about how to implement AI, when you get the tools, when you get the coach, right? It all begins and ends with you. If you're not holding yourself accountable for actually implementing and executing, then you cannot blame anybody else for the lack of success in your business but you. So you have to hold yourself accountable. And those are the 5 things I always say you must master as a business owner, whether you are starting, whether you are mid-level, or even at a high level. Those are the 5 areas that you're always going to be fine-tuning and making sure that you're thriving.
And yes, I do agree. I definitely
Awesome.
agree.
I'm
Um,
glad.
I definitely agree. It has been such a joy having you on my show today. I am certain that our audience have learned a lot from you. I have learned a lot from you being the host. And thank you so much for coming on our show. I'd love to have you sometime in the future.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you for having me again. Thank you. And I will definitely be back for the future. Just let me know. I will make sure it's in my calendar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angel. And I'd
You're
like to thank our
welcome.
audience for joining me on another episode of the Career Education Learning Center. We will make your career dreams a reality. God bless.